What you are looking at is the ice dispenser on a Kenmore side-by-side refrigerator, freezer combo unit. We've had this refrigerator for, I believe it's been 5 years. And up until now, it's been perfectly reliable. But I think you'll agree there's a slight issue here. There's not a lot of ice in there. And what's more, it looks like there is an error there in the system. Now, I'm not entirely sure. You might be able to see that there is ice in the unit, but it does not appear as though it is able to get out successfully, which is a clumsy way of phrasing that, but I think you get the idea. It's not able to eject it. I'm not sure where the correct resting position for that arm is, but it's entirely possible that it is resting in the incorrect place. Maybe it's frozen in place, I'm not sure. But in order to diagnose this, this whole assembly is going to have to come out, which could be a little bit of a problem. I'm not entirely sure how you'd get this out. I think you have to remove this little, this thing here, that door, and then I think there might only be one bolt there that has to come off. So I have to get my socket set in order to remove it anyway. But before we get on to that, I want to discuss something very important, and that is safety. Do not work on your ice maker while it is powered on. And it's a very stupid thing to do. So we'll go ahead and turn it off, just like that. And even that might not even be good enough. You may find yourself very sorry when you try to pull this out. There's probably, it looks like there's an electrical connector at the back there, which makes sense because there has to be a sensor in some way to power this arm. Maybe there's something that's loose. I don't know. Okay, because I'm not entirely sure how this works, I know that you've got to remove that connector, but I don't know if you can even do that without taking the unit out, because that is a really tight fit. I can't get my hand back there. So I'm going to try. There's a tab here somewhere and a tab over here, actually right there, that need to be removed. So I'm going to try and remove the unit and see how far I can get with that. Maybe I'll have to try and remove the connector first anyway. I don't know. Okay, so one very important thing that you need to do when diagnosing problems with your refrigerator and your ice maker is you need to make sure that the problem is actually the ice maker. I know what the issue is here in this case, but just in case you do find that your issue is the ice maker, you follow exactly the steps that I described. You remove the one little thing here, remove this back piece, and there's a latch in here somewhere. I don't know exactly where it is. I think it's under this. There's another one on the other side right here. Push those in, and this simply slides out. Now you want to be careful. This flap here, this has to come out. This has to be pushed in. And you also want to be careful of the connector, which is behind here. You can't see it. It's obscured right now with that piece of plastic. But I think we might be able to just barely make it the wire. The problem here is actually not got to do with that. You see, this double blinking is actually normal in its current state right now. You'll notice if I push this to the off switch, see that gets covered up. So what is that? Well, behind that is a light sensor. This over here is a light emitter, except it's not actually emitting light. Furthermore, when I close this, that light right there is supposed to change to solid, and it does not. So there's the problem. this is going to involve some rather expensive PCB replacement. Theoretically. I have a strong feeling the issue is actually capacitors, probably on the board that's in here, which is the receiver. If I remember correctly, the emitter over here has got nothing on it, pretty much. Now, if you ask me, this is a pretty stupid design. There's no reason why they couldn't have this being a regular power switch, and in order to figure out when the door is or is not closed, well, there's a switch already up here that does exactly the same thing. So what's the point? I don't get it. That seems like a rather unnecessary waste of R&D time to configure such a circuit and to design the PCBs and to manufacture the PCBs that make this possible. So, now that we know what our next steps are, I'm going to have to figure out what the natives think of this idea. It's probably still going to involve us having some technician come out here and diagnose it, even though I'm pretty certain that's what the problem is. Okay, let's wrap this video up. I'm going to have a discussion about what's been done since you last saw a video of this particular project. I'm going to show off some parts. I don't know if I mentioned it, but there was a technician that came in. I don't remember how long ago it was. It was quite the long time away, but there was a technician that came in and slapped the crap out of the ice maker, and that fixed it for a little bit. And then I slapped the crap out of it, and it worked for a little bit, and then it stopped working again. So there was obviously a problem. And the first, because slapping the crap out of the actual ice maker unit itself seemed to solve the problem, first we bought a replacement ice maker kit. One of the things included with that is this, which is pretty much the entire brains of the operation. You can see all of the complicated copper circuitry going on in here. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of contact points on here that I don't even think are used. You can see all kinds of contact. That's where it plugs into the unit. All kinds of copper contact points. There were not that many on the unit itself in the ice maker. It's driven by an AC synchronous motor. I should assume that's an AC synchronous motor. Probably says right on it. Yeah, 120 volts, 60 hertz. That's AC synchronous. If I turn the camera light on, you might be able to see in there the little gear that yeah, there you go. That turns the wheel. I'm not really sure exactly how this works. I think that's supposed to, when this starts turning, this comes out of the way. I don't think it's supposed to lock like that, though. Maybe it does, I don't know. Maybe if it applies an electrical current, because when you close this, that little connection down there, which you can't see, maybe if I turn the video light back on, you will. There is a connection in there that you can see, right there. That's made when this closes. You can also see, so it looks like some pitting going on, which is understandable, because DC arcs are practically unquenchable. Maybe that's how that works, I don't know, but either way, it'd be interesting to see one of these things in operation. Nevertheless, we replaced this, and that didn't help anything, so as it turns out, the problem was exactly what I suspected it was. And it was one or both of these. This is the receiver board, basically the power control. This is the emitter board on the left side of the freezer. I'm not sure, but the resistor here, I assume this is a resistor. Looks like there's a crack I'm not sure the camera will focus on it. You can see, just barely, looks like there's a crack in the resistor there. And that's definitely no good. It's not supposed to be like that. But I also tested this board, and alarmingly, when I put a multimeter across the capacitors, I got very, very low resistance. In fact, let me go run that test right now. Okay, this is a very difficult test to do on camera, so I decided not to, but right here is one of the capacitors. Not really too sure of the values, I didn't really check that. 470 microfarad, 16 volt, no idea who manufactures it. It says RK on the side. That's junk. And that's the resistance reading. That was the highest point. 19.6 ohms. It's supposed to be infinite, because it's a capacitor. So it's supposed to be infinite. But, so, that's very possibly a problem. Maybe it's doing that because it's in circuit. I don't know, but either way, maybe there's something else that's a problem too, like the relay, or that capacitor that's right there. The diodes test good, so those are fine. I didn't test that resistor. I probably should have tested that resistor, but either way, it doesn't really matter. One or both of those boards is bad. So, that is what solved the problem, getting those two boards. So if you find yourself in the same situation as this comes with it. This is how you do all the diagnostic stuff. You should be sure to follow the important notices as well. This is for the 2002 board design, which is what this is. The problem that we were having, and what it was doing, was this. 2 pulses followed by 1 second delay. Which could be pretty much anything. You can see the flapper door or the optics are faulty. And when you do that, you still get this, so you have to replace the optics boards. Problem completely solved. So now the ice maker is working, and that is going to conclude the video. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off. I hope to see you next time. Till then.